Day traders, you're going to be left behind if you're not doing this one strategy. A couple of days ago, I reached a pretty big milestone. For my whole trading journey, I've managed to make over $1.5 million. So I just wanted to talk about the strategy that propelled me from losing money consistently to now being profitable. So let's go through it. So before that, these are my broker statements. Obviously need some proof. These are my broker statements. So these are obviously yearly statements. This is for 2023 and this is for 2024. The second one has ended 2024, like December 31st. So right now it's May, obviously, so I made quite a bit more. But yeah, this is just some proof. So let's go through the agenda. So what are we going to be talking about in this video? So the first thing I'll talk about is the lessons to make your first 100K. What are some of the things I've learned? Some of the things that you can apply to make your first 100K. Then we're going to be talking about the exact strategy that I use. I still use it to this day. It still works. It's still amazing. And the third thing we're going to talk about is going to be, I'm going to show you a real $5,000 trade example that I've used this strategy on, just to give you an idea that this does work and you can use it too. It's pretty simple. And the fourth thing I'm going to talk about is a 7-day challenge. So what you can do like day by day to go from zero and unprofitable to making money with this strategy. So a quick heads up, obviously this is not financial advice. I'm just sharing what I do and why. Always do your own research before trading. Now, let's talk about the lessons to make your first 100K. What are some of the big lessons that I learned that you can apply to make your first 100K? So let's talk about it. So the big first lesson that I learned was there's 3 types of trading days. In any given day, there's going to be 3 outcomes, right? Whether it's talking about your account, whether it's talking about the market in general. The first thing that's going to happen is we're going to have an uptrend, right? So stock opens down, it goes up, boom. It's an uptrend day, it's a bullish day. The second thing we're going to have is a neutral day. This is when there's no real trend. The stock opens and it kind of just goes sideways for a little bit, kind of goes up, maybe goes up, and then just kind of finishes sideways, right? No real trend, not much money to be made. That's the main thing. And obviously the third is a downtrend. It's pretty obvious when the stock goes down, etc. Right? Now, when you understand this type of stuff, you begin to understand that you need to consciously and actively avoid neutral days. Because when a stock is going sideways like this, you cannot make any money. There's no way for you to make any money. If you bought here and you sold over here, the profit is so small that it's not even worth trading it, right? And obviously with a downtrend, it's the same thing. If you buy over here, you're going to sell over here, you're going to lose money. So what the biggest thing I've learned is your trend is the friend. You need to focus on days that have uptrends or stocks that are in an uptrend. You can never be trading stocks that are just going sideways or stocks that are going down. You're going to make no money. You need to trade stocks that have a solid uptrend, that have a reason to go up. And those are the only stocks you should trade. Never trade stocks that are going sideways. Never trade stocks that are dead. That's the biggest lesson you need to learn, is always trade with the trend. So if we look at the stock on the left over here, let's look at this picture. You can see that the stock is clearly in a uptrend, right? We have higher highs and higher lows, right? We have a high over here, a high over here, we have a low over here, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs. Like this is just like perfect, picture perfect, like this is perfect, right? Now, these are the types of stocks you want to trade, right? The ones that are trending up, is clearly trending up with a lot of volume. You can see a lot of volume when the stock goes up. The volume isn't dead. It's not like this. This is what we call low volume, right? You can't even see the volume bars. We need to trade stocks with high volumes. That's the second thing. The third thing is we need a catalyst. So we need a reason for the stock to be going up. If a stock is going up for no reason at all, we should not be trading that stock because it's going to dump at the open, right? We need to trade stocks that have a reason to go up. And these are what we call catalysts or news or whatever. And the final thing that I want to talk about is a support level. So support levels, you can see that the stock has a support level over here. It has another one over here. It has another one over here. We can talk about these. We can talk about how to identify them. But if you can just see that there is a support level, you're good to go. So this is the first major lesson. Like, trade stocks that are in an uptrend. Trade stocks that have support, that have a reason to go up, that have high volume. Never trade random stocks that have no volume like this. That's the biggest. Like, if you can just take one thing away from this video, it should be this. Always trade stocks in an uptrend. That's what I'm trying to say. So now let's move on to my exact strategy. I still use this strategy to this day, by the way. This is like how I make a living from trading this strategy. So this is a stock chart, and we've talked about this before, right? You can see it's going up, it goes down, it goes up, it goes down. Higher highs and higher lows. Perfect, right? Now support is just a point in the chart where the stock kind of reverses. So we can see over here, the stock starts to go up, and around about this level, it starts to find some resistance. So it ends up going down, right? So we can confidently say that this is resistance. Now let's see what happens next. Then stock goes down, and then over around about this level over here, it starts to reverse again, right? So now we can say that this point would be support. Then it goes up, it goes back to the level that it first found resistance, but it goes through it. It goes up and it starts going down. So now we can say that this point right over here is resistance, right? So this is how we identify supports and resistances. Now, they're not going to be this clear all the time. Obviously, this is a very simple chart. It's very easy to tell where the supports are. But this is kind of the pattern you want to look at. And the idea is you want to be entering, this is what I do. So first we identify the stock in an uptrend with a very good amount of volume. We see that there's support, there's resistance. The next thing we want to do is when we enter, we want to be entering when it bounces off the support. That's when we want to be entering. We don't want to be entering over here. We do not want to be entering over here or over here. That's not when we want to be entering. That's actually when we want to be selling and taking our profit. When we want to be entering this, we need to be entering when the stock is confirming the support. So we can see that this line over here, this one over here, is now guaranteed support. This line is support because you can see it's going above it, it starts going below, and it starts getting bought back up. You see that buyers are jumping in when the stock goes below this line, and then it starts reversing, starts going up. That's when we want to buy, when the stock confirms our support. So we're trading a stock in an uptrend. It has a bunch of volume, that's good. It has very clear support levels. It bounces off the support level, volume comes in. That's when we buy, right? That's how simple the strategy is. I'm going to go through it obviously in depth, in steps, whatever, but that's kind of the bigger picture of how the strategy works. And these are just some of the wins from the community. I mean, this is a very simple strategy to use. It's not rocket science. It doesn't require you to have some intense trading education, none of this stuff, right? So let's go through some extra wins that I've made from the strategy. You can see over here, this stock identified the support level to be around about this area. You can see that the stock bounced off of it. As it was bouncing off of it, that's when I bought, and then boom, it went up and I ended up selling right over here. That's simple it is. Bought over here, sold over there. Simple. And I do this pretty much every single day. Same thing over here. I noticed that the support was around about this area. I noticed that the stock went down. It was getting bought up. You can see buyers are jumping in. That's when I bought over here, ended up selling over here. That's how simple it is. Same thing over here. I noticed the support was around the 150 area, and then the stock went up, it went down. I didn't buy when the stock was up here. I didn't FOMO into the trade. But when I saw that the stock was finding support on this 150 area, that's when I bought. Stock went up, sold over here. That's how simple it is. Let's go through some more examples. Over here, you can see that the support line I've drawn over here. So when the stock opened, it went down, it touched my support level, buyers bought it back up, that's when I entered, and then I ended up selling somewhere over here, I believe, or maybe over here. That's how simple it is. That's how simple it is, right? Another example over here. I identified that the support was going to be around about this area. Stock went down, hit my support, buyers came in, I bought over here, sold over here. Simple. And I can go through countless examples of these, right? Because this is the strategy that I trade. I identified the support was around about here. Stock went up, it went down, it didn't quite get fully near my support level, but it got pretty close. It got to VWAP instead. Buyers jumped in, entered over here, stock went up for a little bit, sold over here. That's how simple it is. So what am I actually trading? Because you can see that I'm trading these stocks, right? But what am I actually trading? I'm trading what we call gappers. This is like the most fundamental thing that you need to understand. If you can understand what this is, you're good to go. So a gapper is literally just a stock that opens higher than it closed yesterday. So we can see that this is the daily chart of a stock, right? Stock's going down, 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 down. And the next day, it ends up opening over here. So how come this stock closed over here, but then the next day it jumped all the way up and opened over here? How did that happen? Well, that's because overnight, something happened. Overnight, they released some news. There was a catalyst, there was an FDA approval, whatever, right? There's some sort of news that caused the stock to go all the way up overnight. That is what a gapper is. The reason we trade these is because most of the time they are in uptrend, they have a lot of volume, they have a catalyst, there's a reason for the stock to go up, there's support levels, there's resistance levels. It's perfect. It's the ideal stock to pick. Now, this does not apply to Forex or futures or options. It just doesn't apply because a gapper it doesn't exist in those in those things. It does exist in options, but we're not going to be trading those. Now, another thing you have to be very careful about is this only works with small cap and small float stocks. It does not work with large cap stocks like Apple or Nvidia, because Apple is not going to gap up 100% overnight. It's just not going to do it, right? But a small biotech stock with like a market cap of like, I don't know, 20 million, yes, there's a pretty high possibility that it might gap up 100% overnight. So those are the types of stocks we want to trade. The small cap, small float stocks. Not the big, large cap, Apple, Nvidias of the world, because they're not going to be this volatile, right? So we need to somehow now find these gappers that are small cap and small float. So how do we do that, right? So let's go through the steps. There are 4 main steps of the strategy, and I go through each one of them. And this is something I do every single day when I sit down, and I'm only in front of the screen for maximum 45 minutes a day. It's really not that much. This strategy is way better than sitting there in front of the screen for Forex or something, or options where you're sitting there for hours and hours monitoring and setting up alerts. I'm in front of the screen for 30, 45 minutes a day. That's it. So let's go through the steps. So step number 1 is we need to go to a stock screener. A stock screener is where you find these stocks. You can't find these stocks randomly. We need to find the small cap, small float, gappers. That's how you find it from a stock screener. The one I use is one on TradingView. You can use whatever the one you want, right? And the thing you want to pay attention to is the gap percentage. This is the most important thing. We don't need anything else. We don't need to know the volume traded the day before. We don't need the average volume. We don't need any of the stuff. All we need is the gap percentage. And as a pro tip, something I've realized is that if a stock is gapping up less than 20%, it's not going to perform. It's not going to perform really well when the market opens. So let's assume, right? This is pre-market. The stock, there's some news that comes out, and the stock goes up like this. And stock's doing its thing, boom, boom, whatever, right? If this whole move is 10%, let's say the stock is only gapping up 10%, when the market opens 9:30 over here, most of the time the stock's just going to go down, or it's just going to kind of go sideways and then kind of go down. The chances of it going up, if it's gapping up less than 20%, is just not very high. That's something I've learned. So this is why when you look at the gap scanner, you need to ensure that the gap is a minimum of 20%. So let's look at what it looks like, right? So this is a picture of a gap screener, right? You can see over here we have the ticker listed, very simple stuff. We have the description. You don't even need the description. As long as you have the ticker, you're good. And then over here we have the gap percentage, and we have all the gaps over here. So that day, the highest gapper was 184%, and the lowest gapper was 31%. Obviously, there's one below this, but they might have been 15% and 12% or whatever. But like mentioned, we need stuff that is 20% or above. And that specific day, 20% or above were just these couple of stocks, right? How many are there? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there's 7 stocks. These are the ones that are gapping up 20. These are going to be the ones that we're going to be focusing on. Now, step number 2 is we need to figure out which one of these 7 stocks we're going to be trading, because we're not going to be trading all these 7, right? We need to figure out which one of the 7 we're going to be trading. And there's a couple things you can do to identify them. The first thing is we need to see which ones have high volume. Like I mentioned, high volume is one of those things which you definitely need. You cannot be screening for these stocks if they don't have high volume. The same thing with the small float, and the same thing with support level. You need to ensure that that these stocks have. So let's look at an example, right? So this is a pre-market chart of one of the stocks that were on the gap scanner. And you can see that news came out around about 8 a.m. and the stock instantly jumped up, right? You can see the amount of volume. There's a lot of volume, and it's an insane amount of volume, right? The volume isn't dying off. It's staying consistent. There's a lot of volume. Perfect. The next thing we need to check, obviously, is if it's a small float, and I checked, and it is. And the last thing we need to do is we need to figure out a support level. Because remember, we're not going to be entering over here. We're going to be waiting for the stock to come near our support level. Then we're going to buy, and then we're going to sell as it goes up, right? That's how we're going to play this. And you can do this every single day. So I've identified my support levels over here, because remember what we said? We said we need to find the places where the stock finds a reversal. So stock went up, up, up. It found reversal over here. It started going back down. So this will be a resistance now. But then it went back up, reversed over here, went back down, reversed over here. So this has now been confirmed to be support. So all we need to do is wait for the stock to come down to support, make sure it respects the support, buy, sell. That's how simple it is. So let's go through it, right? Now, step number 3 is, like I just mentioned, we need to buy when the stock confirms support. Do not ever make the mistake of buying right at the market open, because most of the time you're going to lose money. The thing is, you don't really know what's going to happen when the market opens. The stock could instantly just plummet down. The stock could instantly go up. You don't know what's going to happen. So buying over there is literally a gamble. What you need to do is you need to wait for the stock to get near your support, confirm that it's support, because buyers will be buying it very quickly, volume will be going up, and that's when you want to enter, not directly at market open. So for this stock specifically, this is what happened. This is the same stock. It came down for a little bit. It started going back up. It went back down, and you can see it touched my support level almost perfectly. Then it started being bought back up. I saw volume was coming in very strongly, and that's when I entered. I entered right over here. That's how simple it is. So we're following all of our rules. We're not entering as soon as market opens. We're buying stocks with an uptrend. We're buying stocks that are gapping up. We're doing everything correctly. And this is the perfect example. Stock goes up, it goes down, hits the support level almost perfectly. I see that it's being bought back up. I see volume coming in. That's when I buy. So now let's talk about selling. Now there's a couple of different reasons that I'm going to sell. I mean, I can go into all of them in depth. But what you need to know is you need to sell at a resistance point. And these can come in many different ways, right? First we have VWAP, then we have pre-market high, which is very common, and then we have half dollar hold dollar resistance. So for this stock specifically, let's look at where I sold it. So this stock, like I said, this is where it entered. It started going up, 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 and as it was going up, I ended up selling over here. Now the reason I ended up selling was because of pre-market high. You can see the pre-market high is roughly around about this level, right? So when the stock got close to the pre-market high, that's when I sold, right over here. That's how simple it is. So I bought over here because it confirmed support. Stock went up, as it hit pre-market high, I sold. That's it. That is like the whole trade. This is the strategy that I do every single day. That's how simple it is. If you can master this, you're good to go. You can make even more than I've made. So now let's look at a real example of a trade I took following this exact same strategy. So you can see over here, I'm in the stock that I was talking about, and I'm in the replay section, and we're gonna go through this minute by minute, and we're gonna identify when I bought, when I sold, and everything I did. So this is a minute before market's about to open. It's 9:29 a.m. It's a minute before market's about to open. And all I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna wait for the stock to get near my support, and then I'm gonna buy. So let's go for 1 minute. So the first minute, you can see it kind of goes down a little bit, but it's not very near my support. I'm not gonna be buying because it's just not near my support. So I'm gonna wait another minute. The next minute, it goes down a little bit. Again, not near my support. I'm not gonna buy. Third minute, we can see that it goes up really quickly. Again, it's not near my support. I'm gonna be patient. Most people will make the mistake of entering somewhere over here. They're like, yeah, it's going up. I'm gonna buy. I don't wanna miss out. You never wanna do that because you're just chasing now. You're not using a strategy. The next minute, let's see what happens. It goes up a little bit more. We're not interested anymore. Then the next minute, it goes down, right? So it goes up a little bit, it halts, and then boom, it goes down. We're still not gonna enter. The next minute, we can see that it opens over here, touches my support, gets bought back up really quickly, and as it's being bought back up, that's exactly where I entered. Simple. The next candle, we can see it goes up a little bit. The next candle, it does the same thing, continues going up, 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 up. And then this candle, when it gets near my pre-market high, which is around about this level, I sell for a quick 17% gain. That's simple it is. So on this trade, I made 17%, meaning let's say you put $5,000 in, you would make around about $850 from this trade in like what, 4 minutes? So $850 in 4 minutes by just using basic support and resistance. So if you want to see the whole like trade review where I go through everything on this trade, like when I bought, when I sold, everything about it, you can see the full trade review inside the community in the Drako Room. So now let's talk about your 7-day challenge. I'm going to give you like a step-by-step like blueprint, something you can do every single day to go from unprofitable to making money with the strategy. So let's go through it. The first thing you need to do is you need to start your free trial of my community, the Drako Room. So inside over here, we have a bunch of stuff. We have a wins channel over here. There's a free course inside, a course explaining this whole strategy. It goes into extreme depth. We have all of my trade reviews. We have all of my live reviews, all the reviews of trades I've taken. I think there's like 80 or 90 reviews in there. It's a lot. And of course, you have my daily watch list. This is going to be very important because I do all the work for you. I go through the gap scanner. I find the support levels. I do everything, and I post it before market opens so that everybody knows the stocks that I'm going to be watching that day. So start your free trial. It's literally a free 7-day trial. Like it's free. Like you have nothing to lose. Day number 2, you want to open a broker. If you don't already have one, you need to open a broker. Simple. So day number 3, watch the full course inside the Discord. It explains the strategy. It's super detailed. It goes through everything. There's a full course inside the Discord. Day number 4, you're going to watch all of the live trades and the trade reviews, right? Like I said, there's over 80 or 90 of them of all the trades I've taken. So you can watch all the trades and analyze them. Day number 5, you want to use the watch list like I mentioned, and you want to paper trade and review. So you want to look at the watch list that I post before market opens, and you want to paper trade, right? Paper trade it using the support levels, everything, make some money, and review your trades. Very important to review your trades. Figure out why you bought, why you sold, how you could have done better, what to do better next time. Just review all your trades. So day number 6, you want to take your second trade and you want to review it. So same thing, you want to go to the watch list, you want to find the stock that you want to trade, take your second trade on a paper account, and you want to review. You want to review, again, everything, why you bought, why you sold, everything. And by day number 7, you should have won by now, so share your wins in the wins channel and your screenshot could be shown in one of my videos. Like, that's how simple it could be. So if you guys do want to join the community, you can click the link in the description to join now for free. I am going to be closing the group soon to just focus on the members inside. So if you guys do want to join and get your free trial, this is the best chance. If you guys want to watch a video where I explain how to get ahead of 99% day traders as a complete beginner, click the video that just popped up. As always guys, subscribe, like, comment, all that good stuff. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.